I speak now with a voice that has always known you, a voice older than storms and softer than your first breath, and I set my words before you like a path lit by embers that refuse to die, because you have tried to walk away from yourself and you have tried to bend your name into the shadows, but you cannot outrun what I planted in you before anyone learned how to pronounce sunrise. You cannot bury what I made bright, and you cannot silence what I call by its true name even when the world throws another name at you. So hear me, people found out you are a total, and you fear the blank after that sentence like a cliff at night, but the blank is mine, and I decide what fills it, and I will not leave you dangling over rumor or chained to the broken grammar of the crowd, because I am the author and finisher, and I will finish your sentence with the truth I wrote in light. They talked, didn't they? They whispered in rooms that smelled like dust and stale coffee and old disappointments. They turned your story into a little game between anxious hands. They picked pieces of you like petals from a flower and tried to cast lots for your future. They decided that your pauses were proof, that your silence was guilt, that your history was destiny, that your kindness was weakness. They threw adjectives at you like stones and made you the wall they needed to lean their insecurities against, and each time you heard it, each time that unfinished sentence hung over you, you felt your chest tighten, like a door being pulled shut from the inside. But look at me now, and do not look away, because I am unhooking their words from your skin. I am brushing off the dust they blew toward you to cloud your sight, and I am telling you something truer than their curiosity and louder than their certainty. People found out you are a total surrender, and in that surrender there is a strength they do not comprehend. You bowed when they expected you to bite, you breathed when they asked you to burn, you swallowed the bitterness and turned it into bread even for those who would not invite you to their tables. They mistake surrender for defeat, but what you surrendered was not your worth. It was your war against your own heart. You put down the weapons you used to aim at yourself every night, the cruel recaps of what you said wrong, the exhaustive autopsies of every mistake, the relentless trial you staged inside your head with you as the accused and you as the judge and you as the executioner. You surrendered the custom of self-cruelty, and they do not know how to live without hating themselves long enough to love anybody else, so they are confused by the peace beginning to bloom in you, because it contradicts the story they told about your limits. Do not apologize for this surrender. It is a river and I have called it holy. But let me finish again. People found out you are a total survivor, and survival is not merely a scar, it is a science of light. You learned how to take a day apart and find inside it a reason to try again, even on mornings that smelled like last night's grief. You kept showing up to the conversation, to the kitchen, to the little tasks that feel like someone else's hands are always heavier than yours. You survived the rooms where being quiet kept you safe. You survived the seasons when love was rationed like water in a drought. You survived the lies your own fear told you about how small you must stay to be allowed to stay at all. Do you know how rare that is? To come this far not because the path was gentle but because your will to move was stubborn and my hand did not let go. I did not let go when they turned their faces away. I did not let go when you nearly agreed with your brokenness. I did not let go when you called yourself by the wrong names just to belong. And I am not letting go now. Let me place another word there, because I will keep filling the blank until it can no longer frighten you. People found out you are a total beginning, not an ending, and that threatens those who invested in your conclusion. They wanted the credits to roll over your life the moment you fell, the moment you trembled, the moment you were too tired to argue with a lie. They stamped you with a date like you were perishable, and they forgot that every morning is a resurrection for those who lift their eyes. You are a beginning every time you forgive, every time you learn, every time you walk away from the stage where pain asked for an encore. I love beginnings because they smell like humility and courage mixed together, and that scent draws goodness like a magnet draws filings. Beginnings do not need loud announcements. They need one faithful step, and then another. Do not despise the steps that look small. Seeds do not apologize for being hidden. Flames do not apologize for being sparks. Listen closer. People found out you are a total mirror for their own unhealed stories, and that is why they project onto you shapes that do not fit. Your tenderness reminds them of a childhood promise they broke with themselves. Your resilience exposes the places where they quit before joy could finish its sentence. Your honesty compels them to reckon with the masks they glued to their faces. Mirrors are not always adored, but they are useful for anyone who dares to see. Keep shining, even when they accuse you of being the reason they cannot pretend. Keep shining, not because you need to persuade them, but because your shine is how I show you your own face without the fog. I am not blind to the times you believed the worst headline about your life. I watched you try to prove your worth by outrunning your weariness, by over-explaining your motives, by auditing every friendship like a ledger where love must be balanced to the decimal. I saw the way your body remembered old alarms and how your breath shortened when a certain number appeared on your phone. I saw you rehearse arguments in the shower with people who never deserved another line. And yet, while you were practicing your defense, I was rewriting your definition. While you were building a case, I was building a home in you where gentleness could rest. While you were waiting for permission to believe you are good, I was giving you something better than permission. I was giving you myself. Do you want another word? People found out you are a total restoration. Restoration is not a fresh coat of paint on rotten wood. Restoration is the careful replacing of what rot took, the slow, stubborn healing of what grief hollowed out, the strengthening of beams that will carry weight again. I am the carpenter, and I have touched the beams of your heart. I have aligned what was warped by comparison. I have sealed the leaks where your joy drained away through the cracks of old betrayals. I am sanding the splinters, old phrases that still jab you when you're tired. I am building you so that you can house laughter again without fear that the ceiling will collapse. Let people think what they will when they see the scaffolding around your life. They may call it weakness, I call it work. They may call it drama, I call it design. My restorations are thorough, and if the process embarrasses you, remember that glory and mess share the same address in every story worth telling. This sentence has more chapters. People found out you are a total contradiction to despair, and despair hates contradiction. In rooms where hopelessness tried to make conversation the only language, you started speaking future. You started sprinkling small plans over the table like breadcrumbs. You started writing lists that included rest. You started smiling at nothing the way children do when they hear their name across a playground. Despair prefers efficiency. One long shadow, one closed window, one locked door, yet you kept cracking the window for light, and your small habit of cracking the window is a revolution in slow motion, and I celebrate revolutions that arrive as rituals of kindness to one's own heart. I know you have often wondered whether I would defend you in public the way I heal you in private. Hear me, I will not compete with gossip, but I will complete you in sight of those who doubted. I won't clap back, but I will clap you into a stage you did not think you deserved. I won't lead you into a courtroom of opinions, but I will lead you into a garden where fruit answers questions you were never meant to answer with your mouth. Fruit does not argue, it ripens, and when it ripens, every tongue grows quiet long enough to taste. You are entering a season of fruit, and some will call it luck, some will call it timing, some will call it a secret plan, but I call it harvest, and harvest is what happens when I keep promises. Take this, too, people found out you are a total mystery, and that is holy. Not every part of you was made for public display, not every sacred thing needs to be explained. Your soul is an interior country, and I have placed borders there to keep your most valuable treasures from being trampled by those who come only to take pictures. Mystery is not distance, it is depth. You are allowed to keep certain rooms within you for songs that do not fit in the marketplace. You are allowed to close the door to those who demand the skeleton key to your history, as if access is the same as love. Protect your mystery, and do not feel guilty for guarding what is alive. I am walking you back to the day before you learned to fear the blank in other people's sentences. On that day, you took your first breath wrapped inside a word I spoke over you, beloved. I never retired that word. I never traded it for a harsher one when you made a mistake. I never edited it when you took the wrong exit. I never diluted it when you forgot me and remembered everyone else. Beloved is not a reward. It is a root. Beloved is not a medal on your jacket. It is the jacket. When they call you anything less, remember they are not the tailor and they do not know the pattern I cut for you. I am walking you back to the day before you learned to fear the blank in other people's sentences. On that day, you took your first breath wrapped inside a word I spoke over you, beloved. I never retired that word. I never traded it for a harsher one when you made a mistake. I never edited it when you took the wrong exit. I never diluted it when you forgot me and remembered everyone else. Beloved is not a reward. It is a root. Beloved is not a medal on your jacket. It is the jacket. When they call you anything less, remember they are not the tailor and they do not know the pattern I cut for you. You have asked me, in your quieter hours, whether I can use even this, the rumors, the misunderstandings, the loss of certain friendships that could not survive the truth. Yes. I can use even this. I will plant gardens in the soil of what they meant for shame. I will lay tables on the ground where they tried to spill your drink. I will make you fluent in the language of those who are learning to be kind to themselves for the first time. I will teach you how to bless without needing to be seen, how to give without performing exhaustion, how to say no without building a speech to justify it to those who already decided to be offended. Your boundaries are not betrayals, they are bridges that Keep love from drowning. I am proud of you for building them. There is a rumor you need to hear me correct from the inside out, that you are a total burden. Hear my verdict, you are a total blessing. A blessing with knees that know the ground, with hands that are learning how to receive as easily as they give, a blessing who brings calm into rooms the way a window brings morning, a blessing who reminds laughter how to sound like a promise instead of a memory, a blessing who will not need to audition for your own life. Sit down, child, at your own table. Take the seat I kept for you when everyone else took what they wanted and left you the story of being second. You are not second to yourself anymore. You worry about timing, about years spent spiraling in circles when you wanted lines that pointed forward. Do not despise the circles. They taught you steps for the dances still to come. They trained your feet to be patient and your heart to count joy in small coins. You are wealthier than you think, because you have learned how to notice. There is a kind of seeing that money cannot buy, a way of catching light in ordinary hours as if the day were a net and you were always fishing for goodness. Keep that, and I will multiply it the way loaves become a feast when someone decides to stop hoarding and start handing out. You will not run out of what you share from a place of trust. Scarcity will hiss and try to frighten you back into closets where you labeled boxes with old fears. Smile at scarcity, thank it for trying to protect you, and then keep walking out into the open, because the open is where I meet you with more. There are still corners inside you where shame tries to squat like an old tenant who refuses to leave even after the lease has ended. Let me escort it out. Shame says your worst day is your truest day. I say your next faithful step is your truest step. Shame says hide. I say heal. Shame says perform. I say breathe. Shame insists that you are only lovable when you are impressive. I announce that you are loved because I am love. And I decided to set my love upon you before you learn to impress or disappoint. When shame knocks with a story that starts with, you always, or, you never, respond with curiosity rather than compliance. Ask it to show its evidence, and watch it stutter. Then invite courage to sit on the couch beside you and tell you something kind about the person you were this morning. I will not let your story be defined by a cliffhanger somebody else filmed with a shaky camera. I will not let your identity be hosted by their channel. I will not grant audience to every thought that wants to rent space in your mind at night. I am changing your algorithm. What used to rise first, the harshest memory, the coldest critique, the panic about things you cannot control, will begin to sink like stones to the bottom of a lake where they can no longer shout. What will rise is gentleness, then gratitude, then a stubborn joy that does not need adrenaline to feel alive. You will begin to notice how quiet miracles stack. A text from someone who sees you, a glass of water that tastes like mercy, a task finished without the whip of self-contempt, a decision to rest before you break. Collect these the way beaches collect shells. They are proof that the tide is faithful. People found out you are a total comeback. And comebacks make some people uncomfortable because they wrote endings with ink that was never permanent. You are rising not to prove them wrong but to prove yourself right about my goodness. You are rising not to embarrass anyone but to educate your future that it is safe to trust you with good things. You are rising because gravity is not the only law. I have laws of grace and growth, and you are subject to them now, the doors that once required battering will hinge at the weight of your quiet consistency. Opportunities will not need you to be louder, they will ask you to be honest. Favor will not force you to betray your values, it will help you keep them. This is the new land, and I brought you here not as a tourist but as a citizen. You have permission to enjoy what I give you without staging an apology in advance. You have permission to celebrate the little wins with a big grin. You have permission to move at the speed of peace even when anxiety tells you the clock is angry and the calendar is a judge. You have permission to choose the small faithful act over the loud impressive gesture. You have permission to keep some promises to yourself even if it means disappointing people who were feeding on your constant availability. You have permission to be exactly as bright as I made you, and you will not be prosecuted for radiance under my law. Now I return to that sentence one more time and I carve it into the air with the ease of someone who knows the alphabet of eternity. People found out you are a total miracle. Not because you performed one on stage, but because you are one in secret. Not because everything went your way, but because you kept finding me in the ways where nothing made sense. Not because you are perfect, but because you are present, and presence is the threshold where love keeps entering, and each time you let love enter, the world gets healed by one more degree. Miracles are not only lightning and thunder. Miracles are also the lamp that stays lit after a long day, the friend who listens without agenda, the decision to tell the truth when lying would be easier, the sigh that becomes a prayer even when you don't have the words. You are that kind of miracle, the kind that keeps rooms habitable, the kind that keeps hope employable, the kind that makes tomorrow a believable rumor. So here is what you will do next. You will stop rehearsing the voices that did not make you, you will practice hearing the one that did. You will throw away the scripts where you beg to be chosen by the small, and you will step into the role for which you were chosen by the great. You will take inventory of your days and relocate the weight, less on frenzy, more on focus, less on proving, more on being, less on fear, more on fidelity to what you know is right when no one claps. You will forgive yourself for not knowing then what you know now, and you will bless that version of you for surviving long enough to hand you the keys. You will drink water. You will rest. You will laugh on purpose at least once a day, even if the joke is that the sun keeps rising no matter how seriously the night took itself. You will check on the child inside who still believes my voice when all other voices fall asleep. And when someone tries to finish your sentence with anything less than glory, you will smile the way people smile when they know the end of the story, and you will let me speak for you, because I am very good with words and I have chosen a simple one to keep you safe, mine. You are mine when the crowd is kind, you are mine when the crowd is cruel. You are mine when you get it right on the first try, you are mine when you need 3 more tries than you thought, you are mine in rooms that celebrate you, you are mine in rooms that misname you, you are mine on the days you feel like a cathedral, you are mine on the days you feel like scaffolding, and because you are mine, the sentence will always end here, no matter how they attempt to edit it. Beloved, whole. becoming, bright, forgiven, protected, guided, provided for, resilient, and rising. Walk on now. I go with you in the ordinary where the holy keeps happening. I go with you into your next gentle decision. I go with you into the conversation where you will choose truth that does not humiliate. I go with you into the mirror where your eyes will learn to rest. I go with you into sleep where fear loses its authority. And I go with you into the future where the blank after their sentence will not scare you anymore, because you know the voice that writes it, and you know what it writes. When they say, people found out you are a total, you will feel peace filling in the rest, a total miracle, a total beginning, a total restoration, a total blessing. And if they cannot accept that, bless them and keep walking, because I have already accepted you, and I am still speaking, and every word I speak over you becomes a place you can live. I am speaking to you now because your breath is close to a turning, because your heart has been carrying words that you were afraid to say out loud, because rumors have stretched their shadows across your path and tried to name you with names that are not yours. Listen and do not turn away. Do not try to skip this. I have walked beside you when your name was whispered as a joke, when a careless laugh tried to erase the work I have planted inside you, when people found out you are a total disruption to darkness, a total contradiction to their easy lies, a total miracle waiting for its hour, and they panicked and called you something smaller. They only saw a fraction and tried to label the whole. But I am the one who sees the whole, and I will not permit a fraction to define you. I am opening this message like a door in a locked corridor, and I am saying, come forward and hear me, because I am not late and I am not silent and I am not confused about who you are. You have carried a weight made of misunderstandings, a cloak sewn from other people's fears, and it has scratched your skin. You have woken in the night to replay conversations, to scan the faces that looked away, to retrace steps trying to find the moment where you could have explained it better, softer, clearer. Hear me, you are not responsible for the scales that refuse to lift from another's eyes. You are not responsible for the stubbornness of those who benefit from your smallness. You are responsible for your obedience to the truth I put inside you, for the flame I lit in your bones, for the path that fits your feet and not another's. What they found out about you is true in part and false in conclusion. They discovered your intensity, your refusal to be bought by shallow praise, your hunger for what is real, and they named it pride. They discovered your endurance, your refusal to quit the assignment I gave you, and they named it obsession. They discovered your tenderness, your readiness to believe that someone could change, and they named it weakness. I am renaming every label they taped to your back. I am removing each word that does not serve your future, and I am releasing over you the name I planned before the beginning: chosen, steady, brave, set apart, carrier of light, builder of bridges, stormwalker, dawnbringer.